Wow, so brazen. Oh my goodness. It does worry me that there's a fox just walking around at 10:30 in the morning in this glorious sunshine. You would think that they wouldn't be out and about. So that is maybe slightly worrying, but more fox news later in the episode though. But what a beautiful day it is. We haven't had any rain in probably, well, ages. It feels like ages. It's been a beautiful spring, but it does mean that the ground is awfully dry and hard, and it's making it difficult to put things in the ground. And I do want to start getting things into the ground because we are past our last frost date now. Overnight temperatures have risen, so it really is the time to be getting things out. And I did get some of the pixie cabbages out, so I was happy to do that. Is there anything else I put in? Oh, some lupins at the very front of the plot went in, and I put the netting over the other set of arches. So I've got 2 tunnels now. And yeah, just because the evenings have been lovely, I've been able to come down and do a few jobs, including the weeding. And in fact, I've got something to show you. So one of the things that I didn't weed last week was this bed. And to be honest, I didn't think there was anything in here, but look at this. If you remember, it's the first bed that we planted up, and we planted carrots, parsnips and salsify. Now there's no sign of the salsify, but we have a whole row of parsnips, including these 2 monsters on the end there. And we also have a lettuce and some carrots. Now the carrots rather peter out. There's a little one. Where is he? Down at the end there. So that's brilliant, because I did think that bed was just a bed of weeds. I really did. And I didn't think we were going to get anything from those first sowings. Second sowings are doing fine in the beds as well. So we've got the parsnips in there, the ones that I chitted, and also some carrots as well. Speaking of weeding, that's what I've been doing this morning. Not here on the plot, but in the home garden. So I got up, well, very early. It was another one of those nights where I woke up at like 3:30, just thinking of all the things that need doing on the plot. But yeah, so I was out in the garden about 6:30 weeding. I actually went out to eat my breakfast, but as soon as I sat down, of course, I saw jobs that needed to be doing. And I think in the end, I filled at least 2 or 3 of those pink trugs with weeds that went onto the compost heap. And then while I was weeding, I found, well, I knew they were there and it was on my list to do this, but I've got 2 kiwi plants and they're being absolutely swamped by everything in the long border where the berries are. So I decided to dig those out. It wasn't really my intention to do it at like 7 in the morning, but I did. I dug them out, and unfortunately they'd wound themselves around the fence netting a little bit more than I anticipated, actually, because I didn't think they had grown much at all. So they got a little bit snapped taking them out, but I managed to get both out because you have a male and a female of the kiwi so that they pollinate and produce the fruits. I've never had any fruits yet, but I'm hopeful now that I've got them out and I've brought them down to the plot that they might prefer it down here. They'll certainly get a lot more space and light than they were getting in the home garden. After that, oh gosh, I saw the agapanthus, and that's been waiting to be divided for at least 2 years. So that got out of the pot. I divided it into 4, but it was not as easy as Monty makes it look on Gardener's World, and I ended up kind of trying to saw through it with my hori. But those are all potted up now, so that was a good job done. And then I eventually got my breakfast, and then I got down here, and now I'm feeling quite exhausted. And it was my plan to try and move all of the soil off of Mark's plot, because it's not fair that it's still sitting on his plot. So I did want to get it into the raised beds that I talked about last week and get those no-dig beds sorted. Have I got the energy to do that? I'm not sure. I think what I'll start with is an easy job, which is getting these kiwis into the ground. I say that's an easy job, but as I mentioned before, the ground is rock hard. So we'll see how it goes. I knew I would be digging and shoveling today, so I've got the big boots on. Where am I going to put these then? So there are 2, as I said, there's a male and a female. I got them from Jurassic Plants a couple of years ago. Jurassic Plants will be at Malvern tomorrow, actually. Perhaps I should wait and ask their advice about what to do, but no, I'll just crack on. I could put them at this end. Yeah, let's just stick them here. They definitely like to wind because they wound their way all around that fencing I've got in the home garden. Okay, this is actually better than I thought it was going to be, this soil. It's dry, but at least it's not like concrete like it would have been on the old plot. Yeah, that's not too bad at all, actually. Look. Yeah, so I'll water these holes before I put them in. And the kiwis themselves, I put in water straight away when I got them out of the ground, so they've had a good soaking. Now, it wasn't originally my intention to put the kiwi over these arches. In fact, I thought they might be happier in the polytunnel, but when I looked, they're hardy down to -30. So they're perfectly okay to be outside. What I had earmarked the tunnels for is mostly pumpkins that will climb and beans. So the French beans and the runner beans. And I've already started some of the French beans off in cells now. Of course, we've got the alderman peas on here now as well. And I got 2 of the cup and saucer plant vine, and I got 2 to maturity. So they are going to go in as well and hopefully look absolutely fabulous. Right, I'm going to water these planting holes. My morning workout. The other thing that I've got to put on the arches that I'd kind of forgotten about was the Japanese wineberry. I've got that as well, and I've got that that unusual berry. What was the other one that I bought? What was it called? Oh dear. Getting there. Oh, tumbleberry, that was it. How's it doing? Okay. That one. And then there's the Japanese wineberry. Actually, that's feeling like it needs a good water. Look at all the growth on it though. That's fabulous. That really needs to get in the ground. Let's give both of these a good water. If it seems like I'm a bit all over the shop this morning, that's how it feels too. I don't know whether it's just lack of sleep or that I've already done 3 hours in the garden this morning. Or I'm getting my mum's cold because she had a cold this week, and maybe I've caught that. But yeah, I do feel a bit scatty today. I should probably say more than usual. Right, it's going to take a while for that water to soak into those planting holes. So why don't we just have a little, let's have a little gander around the plots and see what's new. Well, Dory, you can show and tell first of all. Mark's been planting out some beans. It's got some more to go out there, but this is Mark's plot at the moment, or I should say my sister's plot, shouldn't I? Have you ever seen daffodils still flowering at this time of the year? When he put these in, I was so cynical. I was like, yeah, Mark, they're not going to do anything. You can't put daffodils in what was it, like late March and expect them to flower. Well, I eat my words. Look at those. They are so beautiful. So this side of the plot is as it was. There's my pile of compost. Has gone down significantly, but still needs more going. There's the greenhouse mansion. So we've got 2 new beds in front of the greenhouse mansion. I don't know if these frames were up last time I showed you the plot. My sister's been busy planting. There's beans in this one, and then more beans in this one. I think the sweet peas in this one. And then she put in the spring bulbs, so the tulips and things have gone over now, but I know she's just done a Farmer Gracie order to get some summer bulbs. But look at these. We've got anemones there. Now, let me say this right. No, it's not me at the end. I try to get this right because I've been pulled up on it in the comments. Anemone. Right, got it. Some more here. How beautiful are they? Just stunning. And she's still got some tulips going, and there's some alliums on their way, and the fritillary, they're over now, but they were beautiful while they were flowering. And yeah, Mark's been busy planting as well. Look at those broad beans. Let's see if I can get through here. These were the autumn sown broad beans, and they're an absolute jungle now. Really great. I wonder if he's got any beans coming. Let's have a look. Yes, he has. But so have I. So if we take a gander down my plot, what I would say about my broad beans is, if you remember, they went out super leggy. They've really bushed up now and they're looking much healthier. But I noticed earlier that there were some beans on mine as well. Yeah, just coming. Can you see? See down there? Now I'm a little bit embarrassed about this part. Not that the greenhouse isn't finished, that's standard, but how weedy it has become in here. So I haven't weeded in here yet, that is on the list. But what I have done is put in my fruit trees. These are the patio fruit trees. If you remember, we put them in buckets to start with. Well, that's the apricot now in the ground. This is the nectarine, got lots of lovely growth on there. Unfortunately, the peach, which is the one that I really wanted, the bonfire peach tree, nothing. Now I have been in touch with the company to let them know, and they're going to send me a replacement when they're back in stock, but I don't know when that will be, and it won't be a bare root one, will it, this time of the year? So we shall see. Watch this space. Right, if we come back up, we have got strawberries coming on the strawberry plants in the fruit tree guild. In fact, look, that one's just blushing. So there are loads on here, and I wasn't expecting a great deal because, of course, all of these have been uprooted and moved. There's all those hollyhocks that I planted. Loads of them. Really pleased with that. But look how much tree spinach came with me from the old plot. That is with the raspberry canes. And this bed, which was the bed that I topped up using the compost from the old plot. Well, my goodness. I mean, that is just ridiculous. Oh, it's a good job. I love it. Hey, but yeah, I don't need that much tree spinach. So that does need a weed. And of course it's meaning it's competing with the asparagus, but the asparagus doesn't do very well in here anyway. So I need to rethink the asparagus situation. Now, one of the things I really did want to show you is here in the polytunnel, and let's find a good one. So it turns out most of these, I mean, not that, that's obviously Cavolo Nero, are broccolis, calabrese. And I know this because we've got little calabrese coming. Yay! There's another, oh, look at the size of that one over there. So yeah, we may be in for a little bit of a glut of calabrese, and yeah, I'm all for that. You will have also noticed that I've mulched this entire polytunnel now with grass clippings in the hope that that is going to help retain moisture in the ground, because yeah, it is a little bit hydrophobic in there, which I guess takes us to the IBC tank. IBC tank. Oh yeah, I also brought down my main crop potatoes to do today. Right, so lots of you gave really useful suggestions for what to do about this. One of them was the swan neck tap, but can you see how close the slab is to the IBC? So without lifting it up, I don't know that I could fit a swan neck in there. So what I've ended up doing is taking Danny's advice at the Grow Up channel and buying a fitting for a hose. So the hose I can wiggle in and then feed through into the polytunnel. And in fact, Danny has got a soaker hose that he's going to gift me when we go to Malvern tomorrow. So that is also on the cards for something to get done. But I don't want to do it now until I've got the soak hose. Right, the planting holes are ready. I've got some fresh compost as well to go in, so that they hopefully get what they need, because yeah, I rather ripped them out of the ground at home. So I want to give them the best start that I can after abusing them. Right, there we go. There's one. See, that's not a huge root system for the size of that plant. Okay, this is the female. So this is called red-fruited mini kiwi, Antidia a missionario ciandetti. So this is the female. Now interestingly, male one is a different variety. It's called Antidia arguta wakey, and this one is the one that's hardly to -30. So that's peculiar, never noticed that before, but this is how they were sold, as a pair to pollinate each other. So hopefully that's what I got. Right, let's get this one in the ground then. Welcome back to the plot. It's now past 3 o'clock and I've been busy. I have been to Mom's for lunch, so I've had a break, but I had to stop filming because it's been very busy down here on the allotment today. And the guy I like to call Mr. Rotavator, he came down, so it was also very noisy. But as I say, I have been busy. The main crop potatoes are in. So I did these in exactly the same way as I did the Charlottes on this side. So I hoed it, I gave it a water, I put my compost on it and then placed the potatoes. Now I've only put 6 in this bed, so I've given them plenty of room because they are the main crop, whereas I put 8 in each half, so 16 went in this side and only 6 are in this side. And then I've covered it over with the rabbit bedding. So hopefully they'll be very happy in there. Now I said these are the Steester variety, but I also did buy some King Edward. So I've decided to do those in buckets, and I've put 1 per bucket. So again, giving them plenty of space, and I've just used the compost that I've had delivered, so the green waste compost, and then I've put some of the rabbit straw on top to keep the moisture in after I'd given them a good water. So that was good. Now the other thing I've been up to is starting on the raised beds along here. So I've given it a little bit of a weed, but I am suppressing the weeds with cardboard in between each of the beds. So these green chef boxes that I get from my friend at work are the perfect fit for in between each of the beds. So one of those has gone across each of those. And then in the beds themselves, I've put newspaper. Now, the reason I put newspaper in rather than cardboard, I would normally have used cardboard because it's going to be better at suppressing weeds, but I want to be growing into the soil. I'm not going to be able to put a lot of compost in these beds. I haven't got a lot left, so it's not going to get to the top of these. So it's going to be a thin layer, and I'm going to want the roots to be able to penetrate through and into the actual soil beneath, in which case I don't really want them having to push through cardboard. Instead, they should get easily through the newspaper. Now it is a little bit breezy and the newspaper keeps trying to fly away. So the sooner I get compost on this, the better. In fact, the first thing I'll do is water the newspaper. This isn't just regular newspaper either. So I have one colleague at work who gives me the rabbit bedding that's in all the straw and the wood chip. But I have my aunt who also has a rabbit, and she gives me, they use newspaper. And so this newspaper is kind of soaked in rabbit urine and it's got all the poop in there as well, so that's hopefully going to feed the soil as well. It's not ideal, I don't think, to use newspaper. The dye in newspaper is supposed to be fine, so that's, I guess, not an issue, but I mean, I do prefer the cardboard. But we're late in the season, I need those roots to go into the soil, so newspaper it is. Right, I'm going to water this, get some soil on, and then do the next 3. Right, that's better. Not flying all the way now. Now, before I get my good compost to put in here, I thought I would use these buckets, the compost in these buckets that my old brassicas have now died in. So I just, oh, hello ladybird. Come here. Come here. Oh, fell on the floor. Right, so we'll take the, well, perhaps we'll just do that. Try not to kneel onto the ladybird. So the stem can stay in here as well, actually. It's all adding goodness. It'll eventually break down. And then, oh, that's well stuck together with roots. There we go. So this may not have masses of nutrients in because it's been used up by the brassica, but it's still organic matter. It's going to improve the structure of the soil, if nothing else. Also, the roots will rot down, and that's organic matter too. That's really dried out. Oh dear. Ah, there we go. When in doubt, smash it. Something like this reminds me that whatever it is I try and do, it is never simple. Never. Now, I've, you might notice, left in the beds the camassia. So they'll come up again next year. And also, I've got a taunten kale here. And I thought this one had been completely pigeoned and gone. And actually, I wasn't sure what all the brassicas were, but that's definitely a taunten kale. So I'm leaving that in. It's right on the edge of the bed, but that'll be fine, I'm sure. Oh. Put my sunglasses on for this. Oh, that one's not so bad. Right, less sense of urgency to get the proper compost in now. The paper isn't blowing away. So let's carry on and do another one. Right, as always with doing your raised beds, sorry I might be not in shot there, you need to make sure there's no tape or stickers on your cardboard. Actually, that just looks like paper tape on this one, so that's fine. Now, I've been tucking the cardboard underneath the raised beds so that there's a lip. Now, there is flat, so I mean, weeds could come up, but that should do the trick, I think. Right. That one under there. And then is it just a tad too long? So if I get that in the right place there, I can shove that down and bend it to fit. There we go. And then that goes back on. And that one. See if it looks level. That one needs to be over a little bit. That one level. Yeah, that looks about right. This is not going to be perfect, but good enough. Right, so that's my cardboard in the middle. Then I've got my newspaper. And that just lays down flat on the bottom. The wind's died down slightly now. It might be a little bit easier to do. Have a rabbit poop going in as well. I think I've mentioned before, quite recently actually, that you don't have to worry about rabbit poop in the same way as you do other kinds of manures, because it will be safe as a fertiliser. It doesn't need to pre-rot. As with my colleagues' rabbits, my aunt's rabbit is a rescue rabbit, and so for me that's within my ethical bounds for using it on the plot. There we go. We've actually recently discovered that there's a pony sanctuary not too far away, and they're quite eager for people to come and collect manure. Again, these are animals that have been rescued, so I would be happy to use that manure on the plot. However, you have to go and collect it yourselves. And I know I put a lot of crap in my car, but I think I'll have to draw the line at putting horse manure in the back of the up. Now these last two beds, these have in the 9-star broccoli, pretty sure, and the Austerian tree cabbage, very sure. Both look still alive, but between them in the bed, do you remember? Well, I'll show you. So I had a little brainwave on the wheelbarrow down. What I thought I would do is plant the taunten deane kale 3 different ways. So we experimented before with whether to take smaller cuttings or these long cuttings, and the long cuttings worked better. So now let's try propagating them in different kinds of conditions. So I thought the first one I would do in a tub in compost that could go into the greenhouse. And then I'll do a few in here, so they're in the polytunnel but directly in the ground. And then I'll put 1 or 2 out on the plot as well and see how they do in the elements over winter. Sound like a good idea? So I'll put a few in here. I'm just going to push them in. So 5 in there. I might do another tub actually. I'll go down the end here so they're kind of out of the way. Right. Because this is an annual brassica, but this is a perennial one, so maybe I'd have 2 perennial brassicas next to each other if it takes. So I'll pop it there. And yeah, when this one is over, this one can take over. In fact, I might put them all here, and then I can always, if they all take, I can always move them. And they might have a bit of shelter actually from this annual one as well, mightn't they? Good. So that was our little experiment. Now, we've already taken some of the ones that were in the polytunnel, worked great. Some of the ones in the pots worked great. And then these ones, which were just out here over the winter, yeah, there we go. There's one there. There's a tiny one here, which I shan't bother with because, yeah, that's not really worth it. But this one is pretty good. Now, it's between the beds, which is, of course, not ideal. So what I think I'm going to do is take that one out and pot it up because I have a friend at work who wants one. So let's get it out. There's a little stick down there that I think might have been the third one. Ooh. But 1 out of 3 ain't bad. That's not the song, is it? Well, we got to get 2 out of 3, but 1 is a bit pathetic. Come on. Oh, look how hard this soil is. Now, when I was taking these out of the polytunnel, I don't think I did it very well. The root wasn't very big. So let's see if this is any different. There we go. No, you see, that's all the root that is on it, and you've got all of that top growth. Right, let's get this in a pot. I'm doing the slightly doubled over walk, aren't I? Oh, Though I would love, don't cross the legs. Crossing your legs is not good for your back and hips. While I would love to fill those beds with my compost and put in between them the wood chip, I think I'm done. I want to be able to move for tomorrow, which is Malvern, and I still need to get ready all the stuff that I'm taking to Malvern to give to people. Look at me talking in this staggered way. I've overdone it, haven't I? I always feel like such a lightweight when I look at Mark's immaculate plot, or my sister's immaculate plot, and how much work he did there so quickly. But yeah, you can only do what you can do, and I have been pushing myself the last few weeks. It always feels like just these concentrated times on the plot are so rare. I mean, they're not, they're weekly, but there's not as much as I would like of them. I would love time to just stop. If time could just stop for a little bit and allow me to catch up, that would be lovely. But nevertheless, what I think I'll probably do is try and utilise next week and come down in the evenings. And yeah, maybe, what have I got, 6 beds? I could top 1 up each night, couldn't I? That's the last of my tea. So it's definitely day done, isn't it? It must be at least 5 o'clock now. Okay, right, back to the home garden. Let's see what we can do there. Welcome to the greenhouse, and we are post Malvern. It's currently 27 degrees in the greenhouse and it's been up to 47 today. It's absolutely glorious, as it was at Malvern. Now, it did say it was going to rain in the last couple of hours of the show, which is when the sell-off is, when they sell all the plants off cheap. And my favourite part of the show. But it didn't rain. It did rain in the night at Malvern and it did rain in the night here, but it barely touched anything really. It's getting quite breezy though. It barely touched anything. The ground is still rock hard and things were really suffering just being out for the day. And I went up to Derby for a couple of nights as well, and I've had to do such a big water when I got back to try and save some of these plants. I think we're okay. I don't think I've lost anything. I don't think we're officially in a drought. I mean, we must be officially in a heat wave. This is just ridiculous weather for May. It's lovely and I don't want to complain about it, because this time last year I had lost so much to slugs and everything had kind of stopped growing because it was so cold, and it couldn't be any more different this year. And I guess that's the thing with climate change. It's not it's going to be super wet, or it's going to be super dry. It's just going to be super something, you know. It's going to be extreme, but you don't know which way it might go, and it makes planning a garden or an allotment really difficult. Speaking of the allotment, went down there over lunch and did a bit of a water because I hadn't been able to get down there for a couple of days and it's so warm. Mark, bless him, had watered the stuff in my greenhouse last night, but I wanted to go down and see how those kiwis were doing. And they're fine, they're alive, but I gave them a good water because they're new into the ground and they're in this intense heat, so they are going to need that extra bit of water. Now, I did say when I was putting them in that perhaps I should have waited to talk to the people at Jurassic Plants at Malvern before moving the kiwis. Indeed, they were there and lovely. It was right at the end of the show. I mean, it's the last day of the show. They were just packing up and the guy still took the time to speak to me about my kiwis. And well, it was quite, yeah, I should have waited. It turns out that kiwi plants are quite a lot like clematis. So they want their roots in the shade, the bottom of the plant in the shade, and then they'll reach up into the sunshine. Now, of course, those kinds of conditions were exactly what I had where they were in the home garden. So that's a little bit galling. Now, to be fair, the roots were in the shade, but also the plants were struggling to get up to the sun because the things are quite tall in that border. So perhaps, yeah, I would have moved them perhaps anyway. Would I have put them around the arches where the roots are really exposed to the sunshine? Maybe not. But the thing that I have to do now is think about what I can plant around those kiwis to shade out those roots. And I was wondering about the pine berries. So I've got those white strawberries, pine berries that I grew from seed a couple of years ago, and they're ready to be put out really. I think they've been in pots and I'm not very good at watering pots. So I thought maybe that they could start a kind of cover at the base of the kiwi plants. So that's something to add to the list. I also talked with Jurassic Plants about the sausage, the blue sausage trees that I have got, and I bought those. Did I buy those last year? They've grown wonderfully. They look so healthy. I almost cannot believe it's something that I have been growing on. Now they need to go in the ground. They're much like the kiwi. They need to find the best space for them. So I got to ask about the blue sausage plant, and I also mentioned that I had the hardy lemon that they sell. They were like, "You're a good customer of us, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yes," because I love unusual plants, and Jurassic Plants are someone who sell unusual plants. Speaking of buying plants, I mentioned earlier in the video that my sister had made an order with Farmer Gracie. Yeah, I was tempted to. So we're going to have a little unboxing in a week or two. And it's not too late to get your summer bulbs or summer bare root plants. They can still flower by the end of the season. So now's a really good time to get some bargains. Farmer Gracie is having their clearance sale now up to 50% off. And you can get an extra 10% off using my code DOGONTHEPLOT. Now you can see that there's lots going on in the greenhouse. I've got new seedlings coming up. So these are brassicas that I've been sowing. We've got kalettes, we've got cabbages, minestra, purple sprouting broccoli, Savoy cabbages, all sorts of things in there, and some flowers and bits too. I've also been sowing beans. So I've got a whole row, well, a whole tray here of French beans and woo-hoo-hoo, almost lost my pumpkins. So I've got here the Lima butter bean, I've got Violetto, Marvel of Venice, and the yard long bean as well. I'm giving that a go this year. No germination as yet, but I see a root. It's coming. So though I'm continuing to sow, I can barely fit in this greenhouse anymore. So much stuff needs to get out on the plot. So what I really need to do is finish those raised beds, finish filling those with compost so I can start moving some stuff out to the plot, also moving some things into the polytunnel. But when I went down there earlier, those broccolis are coming up so well, and I just can't wait to be harvesting broccoli from the polytunnel. I'm really keeping a close eye so they don't blow. But once they're done, they can come out and tomatoes need to start going in. It's a really exciting time. I'm really excited. I think this year might be good. I'm hoping it's going to be good. The weather seems to be indicating that it'll be good, although I would really like some rain. Now, if you've got this far through the episode, then you get the reward of what I mentioned right at the beginning, which was fox news. And Dory and I went for a walk through the allotment a few nights ago, and we stumbled across this. So thank you for watching. I hope to see you next week. In the meantime, enjoy a bit of this.